think we're good. Okay, there we go.
Are we on?
I think we're on.
Okay.
Hi, everybody.
Good evening.
Good evening or afternoon or however.
Oh, that's true. Afternoon.
Yeah, whatever time it is.
On the East Coast.
Where y'all are, we just wanted to pop on. We actually had a day off today after about 8 days of going straight, I think.
Something like that.
Morning to night. So we had a chill day to do some laundry, and hence we have a little bit of energy tonight to do an update. And we promised some of you that we would try to do an update or two while we were over here in Ukraine. So yeah, so here we are. Do you want to start?
Nope.
Nope.
Go for it.
Okay. Well, I have a little of energy. I don't know if Jesse does.
I'm good, but go ahead.
It's been so good to be back in Ukraine. It was really emotional, like coming through the Polish border and finally being on Ukraine soil, asphalt. Again, seeing the Ukrainian flag and speaking Ukrainian, and then driving through to Lviv, the city I used to live in, and just seeing everything again. You know, it's been a year, so it's been a long time, but then especially with everything that's happened, it just, it was like, I don't know, I don't even know how to describe the emotion of coming back, coming home again, but it was really good. So our first few days were really lots of traveling. We, you know, basically drove across the entire country, starting out from the Polish border and then going all the way east as far as we could go. So we're currently, we stopped off first on our way where Pastor Oleksiy, you've heard us talk about him in some of our other videos, where he lives in Vinnytsia, and we did some work with him, some ministry with refugees there. We met a lot of refugees from Kramatorsk. It was really sobering. That was kind of our first experience back in Ukraine of meeting refugees who had come out of the really, you know, pretty bad areas of Ukraine and fled westward. It was just very sobering talking with them. It was really beautiful though in the meeting with them, because they had some kind of care packages for them with some food and stuff like that. But then we also got to like do a little meeting with them together where we prayed and just talked a little bit. We played some songs for them. And it was really beautiful to see kind of the shift in their demeanor. Thank you. Demeanors. When we first got there, there was, you know, most of them, I would say almost all of them were like very heavy, understandably so. You could just tell they were just very burdened with all that they had been through, and just hardened, you know, with all that they had experienced. And it was very cool to see throughout the course of the meeting, as we played and as we talked some and prayed. It was very cool just to see in many of them that demeanor really, I mean, just visibly soften. And some of the women were crying numerous times throughout. And then just afterwards, after kind of the meeting was over and they had been given their, you know, care packages, love packages, we got to speak with some of them one-on-one and just sort of hear more of their stories and hug them. And you know, I just remember I remember this one woman in particular. She just came up to me, and she was an older woman. I'm terrible with guessing ages. I would guess maybe in her 60s or 70s, late 60s, I don't know. But real sweet lady. And she just came up to me, and she, I gave her a hug, and she just said, "Thank you so much." And then she couldn't get anything out after that. Like she just couldn't hold back the tears, but I could tell she didn't want to cry in front of me. So she just finally just kind of gave me another hug and walked away. But You could just tell, like you could feel palpably the pain and the um, brokenness and even anger that a lot of them are living in and carrying with them. So it was very moving, very sobering. Then we moved here to the Odessa area where we're working with Pastor Zhenya. So good to see. Well, it was great to meet Pastor Alexei because we'd never actually met him in person. Just talked to him. We just met him during this most recent full-scale invasion online, and so we've been working with him, long distance through chat and stuff like that, sending your financial gifts to him. So it was great to meet him in person and his beautiful wife and their sons. Then we got to Odessa, where we got to see Pastor Zhenya, and he's like our brother. He's like family, so it was so great to see him and his family, and that's where we are now. They are currently living in someone else's home, some friends of theirs who left Ukraine, and so we've mentioned before in other videos that Pastor Zhenya's home was overtaken by Russian forces, and so when they started hunting Pastor Zhenya, because he's a pastor, because they've taken many pastors from the east into captivity. So Zhenya and his family fled, and they are now in the Odessa area, and the Lord's blessed them with this beautiful home of some friends of theirs. They were talking about that tonight, how I think it's very humbling for them to be living in someone else's, like kind of be living someone else's life, be living in someone else's home, but what a blessing it's been for them too, because they left everything, they pretty much just left with the clothes on their back and maybe a couple bags or whatever that they could pack real quick, but pretty much they left everything. Someone else from their church is living in their home back in, occupied territory, and they're living in someone else's home. It's just everyone's so displaced, and it's just really heartbreaking to see that and try to imagine what that is like, to just be forcibly uprooted out of your life for no fault of your own, and forced to kind of move into someone else's home and live at their mercy. And anyway, so we got here, and we've been going around with Zhenya every day and some other Christian brothers here in the area who work with the military and who work with refugees, and been able to, I think our longest day was like 14 hours.
Yeah, we had like 6 meetings.
Yeah, we had 6 different meetings that day that are just at different, like different military positions or like different cities, towns, villages with refugees, displaced peoples. So yeah, that's been it's been incredible to be with the military again. They're just as inspiring and amazing as ever. I've worked with them for 8 years now, since Russia first invaded. Many of you know, in 2014 is when I first started working with Pastor Zhenya, going to the military and ministering to them. And this time is no different. Just their resolve and their love for their land and their just determination to, despite the odds, like it's literally a David and Goliath type situation. But despite the odds, they're just, you've seen it in the news and stuff, just their determination to defend their land and fight for their people, and the right of their people to live in peace and live in their own land the way that they want to live. It's just very, very inspiring. It's been good to see some of the soldiers that we've met on past trips, to see them alive and doing well. Their spirits are good, and get to hug them and bring them gifts that we brought to them. It's been hard to hear that some of the other soldiers that we've met on previous trips are gone, and they've been killed in their fight. And we just, pray, like, that's why we're here, to encourage them, but also, everywhere we go, to share Jesus with these soldiers who are facing death every day. And we just pray, knowing some of these men who have lost their lives, we just pray that they knew Jesus, and are with the Father in heaven now, and resting. And yeah, we've gotten to spend some time with some more refugees. We've done a few more meetings with displaced peoples here in this side of the country. Again, it's just moving every time, just to see. There's just so many, people are all different, and so the emotions just run the gamut. From older women who just kind of cling on to us and just hug us and cry, and you can just feel their pain. Then to other people who you can feel their anger and their desperation for America and Europe to help them more, to give them more help, more effective help in ending this with Russia. And just a lot of very, very palpable, understandable emotion. So we're blessed to get to share Jesus with them everywhere we go, share gifts with them. It's been really good, very sobering, but it does our hearts really good to be back here and to be with these people, and being able to finally give them hugs and smiles and songs. And in return, they're all like just so beautifully, generously grateful. They have so little now, but they always want to give us whatever they have, just to say thank you. So soldiers will give us like their platoon badges, which Jess has now started like safety pinning to his guitar strap, and they love it. They love to see him pull out his guitar, and they see all these badges on his guitar strap. I would pin them to mine too, but we ran out of safety pins, so we'll have to buy some more. But they love it, and if their platoon's badge isn't on his guitar strap, they start searching through, and they're like, wait, here's mine, put it on your guitar strap. It's precious. And then one of the last meetings we had with displaced peoples, there was this beautiful older woman named Alona. She was a blonde as well, and she came up to me afterwards with just so much pain in her eyes. And again, she was just one of those who just like grabbed onto me and just hugged me so tight and was just crying. And she took off, can you go get it under my shirt over there, babe, please? She had this bracelet on her wrist. She was originally from Kharkiv. And she had this bracelet on her wrist, and she was just, you could tell she was just like desperate to give me something, to say thank you for coming. And so she took this off her wrist, and she grabbed my arm and she put it on my wrist. She was just so thankful. And so a few of you bought necklaces that I had posted earlier that I wanted to give to women who've been traumatized by this war. And you could definitely feel, I don't know exactly what Miss Alona has been through, but you could feel just the trauma that she was carrying with her from whatever it is that she's experienced. And so I told her, I was like, wait a minute, I want to give you something. And so I ran over to the van and got one of those necklaces out of my backpack and took it over to her. And yeah, she was just so touched. And lots of stories like that. Anything that stands out to you that you want to say?
I thoroughly enjoy having a group of men and women, and usually they're either at attention because their commanders make them stand at attention, or they're sort of lounging, and it's funny because many of them, I mean, there's groups that we've definitely done performance for and talked to before, and they sort of know what to expect, though there are many others that do not. And um, just watching them like grow in warmth, and just being able to speak strength and courage and encouragement and truth into their lives, being able to show, sow seeds of the gospel into their lives is so special. I mean, we joke around. I use my very limited Ukrainian. We get to banter with them and eat with them sometimes, and those are just very, very special. Sometimes it's in a bunker, sometimes it's in a forest, sometimes it's in an abandoned warehouse, sometimes it's just outside. It doesn't matter where it is, but it is very cool to be together with them. And so, similar to Bria, a woman, this red wristband that I'm wearing, that's actually her dead son's bracelet he was wearing when he was killed a few weeks ago. And so Bria and
It's
I,
made out of bullet
yeah,
casings.
there's bullet casings and fabric, and well, Bria and I, one of the hardest, heaviest days was meeting with widows and families, and we finished, and we were just eating some snacks together and talking, and she came over and put this on my wrist, and I just like cried. Like, I don't know what to do. I mean, there's been several times where I just sit there and there's nothing to say. I have been in a bunch of countries and in different amounts of discomfort and pain, but I've never experienced anything like this. There is just pain everywhere, life-shattering difficulty. And so to be able to step into those places in faith, because the Lord has given us this opportunity, and speak truth and light into dark places, and letting them know that that there is no darkness that can overshadow the light. Light will always conquer darkness, and it will. And so just using that as a metaphor to share the gospel with them, and is just really, really cool. So I won't belabor too many points. We can have other videos with more specific thoughts. If you guys have questions, and if you want to post them in the comments or anything like that, we can try to find answers. But we are careful when we say that we are enjoying our time. We know that we are placed here on purpose, and that many of you have sacrificed your treasure to allow us to be here. And we are so deeply grateful for that. So thank you. And we are deeply satisfied with the work of God in Ukraine, because He is here, He is alive, He's active, He is working.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, we'll try to do another update. Just wanted to check in and tell y'all, yeah, thanks for everything that you have done and given to help our people here in Ukraine, to help us get here, and thank you for your prayers. They're definitely felt. We've heard. We haven't been super close to any shellings or shootings, but we've definitely heard them.
Super close is a relative term.
Well, as in like nothing has exploded next to us.
Right.
But we've definitely, especially out at positions with the military, have definitely heard plenty of booms. We're never sure because we're not experienced enough. We don't know if they're incoming or outgoing. We pray they're all outgoing. But we just watch. This has been my kind of
Your experience.
motto that I've lived by for 8 years, that I run when the soldiers run. So so far in all of my 8 years, that's never happened. It's never come to that. But yeah, we just keep an eye on the soldiers, and we know that if
They're
there's
worried,
ever
we're worried.
yeah, if there's ever any real danger, we'll know, because they'll know. So we just keep playing despite the booms. As long as they look calm, then we keep going.
We're good. Yeah.
Yeah, but we really appreciate your prayers. We don't take that for granted, that the Lord's protection is on us, but we also have complete confidence that the Lord knows our days, and He numbered them before we were even born. So, a lot of people have kind of made comments of like how dangerous it is to be here, and our belief is that it's no more dangerous than us being at home in Buffalo. When it's our time to go home to the Father, then it's our time, whether we're driving in our car in Buffalo or whether we're on the front lines of a war in Ukraine. It's really no different. So yeah, we just completely trust the Lord with our lives, with our friends' lives, with our military friends' lives, and we just pray for a victorious end for Ukraine to this war. Please continue to pray for that, and just know that the war is, despite the media's waning coverage of it, the war is still very much going on. People are still very much suffering. The Russians are still very much sadistic and cruel, and some of the stories that we've heard, even just tonight from Pastor Zhenya, they're just horrifying. So keep Ukraine in your thoughts and your prayers, and give wherever you can, through us or through other organizations that you know of that are reputable, that you can count on, that are helping, or still, even if you're into political activism, I think that's super important right now. Ukrainians are begging, so many of them are so grateful for everything that America and the West, but specifically America, has done for Ukraine, but they're also just begging for, mostly the main thing is, what do you call it? Long range precision missiles, because they just don't have enough of that kind of weaponry that can help them, whatever that person wrote right there, that can help them just put a definitive end to this and drive out Russian forces from their territory. Russia has those capabilities. Ukraine doesn't, and they need more of it. So if you are willing, find out who your senators are and your representatives, your governor of your states or whatever. Just call them and let them know that you, as an American citizen, want America to be giving these kinds of weapons to Ukraine to help them in this war. Anyways, so yeah, we're at 25 minutes, so we'll wrap up. But thanks to all of you who joined us tonight. Thanks again for your prayers. We appreciate y'all. And we'll check back in soon, hopefully.
Absolutely.
When we can.
Do побачення.